Perfect.
ही वर्कaholic छे एकदम एकदम workaholic.
Let's start. Samar, would you want to read the synopsis?
Yeah. Just a minute. Right. The meanings of causation, karma, and redeeming should be taken as causation, relation of cause and effect.
बताइए सामने से
Karma, karma, sum of a person's action in one of his successive states of existence, viewed as deciding his fate in the next, that is destiny.
Yeah, I think last time we had said that we can also take karma as the seeds a person sows, which becomes an invitational factor for future states and future events.
Yes.
Hmm.
Redeem, recover by expenditure of efforts, pay of charge or obligation, deliver from wrong done, counterbalance fault or defect.
So here the redeeming is little different in the sense that nature forces man to have wicked thoughts and what do you call for that he falls down onto to Nadir. And then nature redeems the body-brain system, but nature does not redeem the psychology of man. And we call, Mr. Tavaria calls this as redemption. Actually, nature should have paid off the debt, but it doesn't do that. But it allow every man has to do that for himself, right? And this is where we put a question mark on this idea of redemption over here, because if we are doing it for ourselves, right, then why should we call it redemption?
Yellow.
Right.
Redeeming is an intellectual and extremely emotionally satisfying human exercise.
Yeah, so we can, supposing I've taken a loan from someone and one day I'm able to give back the loan, then that very act of giving back the loan will give me a lot of intellectual and emotional satisfaction. Right?
It is a sincere, silent, and most honest self-education for the mind, body, and senses, where one is shameful at one's own hideousness and most sincerely sorry about it.
Right. So it is a self-education. Now, this is where we are putting a question mark to Mr. Tavaria, because he has said that he calls this redemption. Then why did he leave it to us? If nature did it, then nature would have done the other part. But nature does not do the other part. We have to do it as a self-education. Self-education. Right.
Rajan,
Yeah.
so when, say, we go into our memory of the past and there is something which is a dark space, now we want to redeem that. So we change it by what?
One is to rise to a higher state of consciousness.
Right.
And the other is if we can go back into that state and relive it without any judgment, only consciously, with deep sensitivity and without any judgment, then the blockage releases at that point. Yeah.
Or we can consciously rearrange the memory.
Sorry, what did he say? We can consciously?
No, what consciously a rearrangement of the memory.
Yeah, so we can put an omkar in that. Does it change that?
Yeah, but the very looking at it consciously means what do you call, you're throwing light upon it, and darkness is turning into light. So there is a conscious rearrangement with the very act of looking brings about a conscious rearrangement, right? Right.
Because it was already in the dark.
Yeah. So the darkness becomes light over there. Right.
Each individual has to add something to make the return journey to source faster.
Yes. Yes.
The awareness of return to the source
So
has
this
to
is
be
very funny. This is very funny. And this is something which we can see within ourselves and which we can see in many enlightened people also. And is that they achieve a certain state and then they don't rise higher from that state. They become attached to that state. What is each self-consciousness? What each individual has to rise is self-conscious. Till now, the whole journey of what do you call involution and evolution has been done without self-consciousness, right? So that we have to add that thing. So the possibility of self-consciousness is given by nature. The what do you call the definiteness, the surety of self-consciousness is not given by nature. That we have to do for ourselves, right? So now if somebody is rising on the ladder of consciousness and he on one rung of the ladder he gets attached to something, right? And he forgets the basic rule which Patanjali gave right in the beginning of the Yoga Sutra. Okay, Abhyasa Vairagya Bhyam Tan Nirodh. That state of Nirodh is achieved by Abhyas and Vairagya. So if you achieve a certain state on the ladder through Abhyas, then you have to use Vairagya to drop that state. So then you will do Abhyas for the higher state. Then again you use Vairagya to drop that state. And otherwise, if you only go through Abhyas and you don't do Vairagya, then the very states will become new vrittis on the path. So the very states, new higher states will become what you call subjects for identification. So each rung on the ladder of consciousness, we achieve a certain state, and then we do Vairagya of that certain state to achieve a higher state, right? And the return, to add something in this return journey, right? And that add something is that he has to understand this return journey for himself, right?
The awareness of return to the source has to be deeply ingrained, and every day one has to make some progress in that direction.
Right. So you make some progress and then drop the progress, right? And this is that that is the only way, Abhyasa Vairagya. Right.
So if we look at this practically, there is a pattern that I've struggled with and I've been able to overcome that pattern.
Right.
Then there's a thought that comes, oh, I did that, right? And we keep on sort of regurgitating that thought. Is that what has to be dropped?
See, there is no empty space in nature, right? So if some pattern has been overcome
Yes,
and some pattern has been destroyed,
yes.
then a new higher pattern comes to what do you call
Feel the place of
fill that place. And that new higher pattern will bring certain kind of joy, certain kind of
Challenges also.
what do you call certain kind of satisfaction,
Yes,
right? So then we get attached to that.
yes, yes,
You get it? Now say we take one state that my mind calms down,
yes.
right? So I achieve a state of inner silence, right? Now, instead of going higher, I get attached to that state. So now I'm looking for other enlightened people and I'm comparing my state of inner silence with their state of inner silence. Can you understand that? Right? And it becomes a, what do you call, an ornament of my ego.
Yes.
It becomes an ornament of my ego. And I have seen this. I've not seen it in one, I've seen it in umpteen play and I'm still seeing it every day. I'm still seeing it every day. I mean, there are people just get stuck at a certain glimpse, they get stuck and that this is right and everything else is wrong. And they don't realize that they are on one rung of the ladder. They have to do Vairagya of that rung of the ladder to reach the next level of the ladder. I mean, Sutra 17 we did, Vitarka, Vichara, Ananda, Asmita, Anugamata, Sampragnat. So you achieve Nirodh through Vitarka, reasoning. but then you have to drop that to achieve Nirodh through Vichar. Then you drop that to achieve with Nirodh through Anand. Then you drop that to achieve Nirodh through Asmita. You see, these are different rungs of the ladder, different forms of Nirodh, right? So there are two things over here which we have to that we are given the gift of self-consciousness. Through self-consciousness, we achieve higher and higher states of self-consciousness, and we have to drop those states to achieve the next higher state. And unless we can drop the lower state, even though it is a higher state compared to what we were in, we have to still learn to drop that state. And this is very, very important, which nobody does. They get attached to that state because it brings disciples, right? And it brings what you call material wealth. Yeah, it brings what do you call people who fall at your feet, right? So it becomes a mess then.
And one way to drop that state is continue putting efforts towards the next step.
We have to there's understanding. I think he said something over here. One sec. What did he say? Just go a little higher.
Top of the page.
Tavaria?
One has to make some progress in that direction every day.
Every day, still a little go, a little
Tavaria, can you
awareness.
slow
He said there must be a awareness of the journey.
The awareness of return to the source has to be deeply ingrained.
Yes. So before you start the journey, you must first have a map of the journey.
Yes.
You see, there must be an awareness that I am moving from Bhulok to Bhuvalok to Swahalok to Mahakal to Janalok. This is my journey. And that journey, you must have a proper map of that journey, an intellectual map of that journey. So you know that you have climbed one rung of the ladder. But if you don't, people don't make a proper outline of where they don't have a awareness of the return to the source, right? So if you don't have awareness of returns and I start meditating, I achieve some state, or I do some technique, I achieve some state, and then I get attached to that state. And of course, that state is higher for everybody else. So I get lots of disciples and everything works out well. And of course, if there are disciples who have won beauty contests, then you...
Jitendra, is your question answered or do you want to ask it again? Jitendra's question for people joining on YouTube was, what does it mean by being attached to a certain level?
Got it.
Okay. All the patterns of damage and degeneration come in some sequence following certain laws of cycles.
Right. So all that we have degenerated to, I may be the most wicked person on the earth. I may be a killer. I may have what you call killed thousands of people. I may be at such a low level of the cycle, but all the patterns and damage and everything that has happened has followed certain laws, and I am in that state, right? And this is where there must be understanding that he's not a wicked person, right? Nature put him through this because he had to fall to Nadir. And nature has umpteen ways. It made one person do this, it made another person do everybody has to fall to Nadir. So this thing. But we cannot judge them by that because of that.
The events come, but it is our attitude towards them that make the difference. Welcome them as opportunities to redeem.
Right. So what is our attitude? Whenever an event comes to meet us, is it an attitude of redemption? And as long as we complain, as long as we find fault with others, as long as we say, if only I had not done this, then this would have happened, we cannot redeem. So the first steps start with non-complaining, non-finding fault. Nobody else is there who's putting shadows into my brain, or nobody else can do it. It's not possible, right? I am responsible. And unless we start from I am responsible, we cannot go ahead from anywhere else, right?
Once redeeming is done, the effects will not visit because the causes are eliminated.
Yes, once you have sent something back to its source, it will not come back to haunt you. It will look for somebody else to haunt. Yeah, don't worry. The game will go on. The drama will go on, only you will become a spectator of the drama.
What?
Even today, we human beings still think we are the only self-aware beings and that our world is perhaps the only such humanity-bearing planet and all else is mere fiction. Truth, Satyam is universal, the same everywhere, whatever the conditionings, and there are conditionings through which hundreds of thousands of societies of humanities have already passed by now and are eternities ahead of us.
Yeah, so this is something which he is looking at and which we cannot see.
Continuous play,
Ah,
ceaseless flow.
we cannot see. So we have to only agree because he can see and we cannot see, right? So for us, we still think that we are the only self-aware, what do you call, and we act in such a way also, right? We think we can control nature. We think we can control animals. We think we can, act with nature in any way we want, right? Because we are the only self-aware beings, and this is where this is he's saying is just mere fiction.
This real truth was given ages ago to earlier humanities, and we are not the only humanity to receive it.
Yes, yes. So many times Ram has come and gone. You think the Ramayana has been done once? He told me so many Ramayans have come and gone. We don't even know about it. Yeah. Right.
Bhavya, please share the PPT screen.
Thank you. And Alka, you're around?
Yes, Kita.
Fantastic.
Rajan, before we start, I have one question.
Right.
There are two sides. One intellectual center has we change this memory and etc. The other side is of the emotional center, which is a bhakt.
Yeah, I'm not understanding your question. Right.
I'm saying one side of a human being in the intellectual center is study of scriptures. The other side is we are a bhakt who is an ahobhav, like when you went to Gopnath, you were in ecstasy with Krishna.
With what?
Ecstasy with Krishna.
So,
The second side is the emotional side,
Huh.
where one is an
so
ecstasy.
there are two spaces. Now, how do you know? Because if you want to follow the way of the bhakt, then does intellectual center play a part?
First of all, I think you not understood what is the intellectual center and what is the emotional center, right? And whatever bhakti you are talking about, that is totally outdated in today's world, right? Today's world, there's only blind bhakti. There can be no bhakti without knowledge, and there can be no knowledge without bhakti. Ganga and Yamuna always meet together, Ganga being Gyan and Yamuna being Bhakti, right? So the what do you call, even in the old days, the Bhaks would do certain movements which would awaken certain yogic knowledge within them. They would have knowledge of what they are doing. They wouldn't do it blindly, right? And whatever you're gathering intellectually, there has to be love for that. Only then will you implement it in your life. If there is no love, there is no understanding for what, supposing I just say, don't express negative emotions. Now, this is just an intellectual statement. But unless you have love for that statement, you're not going to implement it in life. You're going to keep on expressing negative emotions, right?
Mm, mm.
That is something which you have to observe for yourself, that there is no bhakti in my life. I don't love what I have understood, right? And
Got it.
you get it. So bhakti and gyan go together, right? There are many gurus today who say there's no need of gyan, just do come to my feet, and but that's all a load of nonsense. Yeah, bhakti and gyan, there cannot be blind bhakti, and there cannot be what do you call dry gyan. So gyan without bhakti becomes dry, and bhakti without gyan becomes blind, right? So we have a lot of people who are blind, and there are a lot of people who are dry also, right? And it's just they are just going round in circles, going round in circles.
Get it.
Bhavya, can we please share the screen?
You should make a aim, Shimal, that for 1 month you won't complain about anything. For 1 month, everything that is happening with you is not anybody else's fault, is only your responsibility and nobody else's, right? And accept it and be relaxed with it. Practice it for 1 month at least.
Okay.
Okay, Alka.
Yeah. Okay. So, above all, let us not forget the divine fragments have accepted all the rules of the game of existence. And in a game, there can be no room for fear or prayers or crying.
Yeah, but there can be room for something else. What is that?
Revelation.
See in all the Western movies. We see it in all the Western movies.
If this had been a drama, one could be expected to act, be fearful. Or cry.
Go ahead, let it go. Go ahead,
No,
go
no,
ahead.
no, please,
Alka.
please, please come.
Go ahead, go ahead. Yeah, yeah.
No, no, I'll stop 1 second.
Go ahead, Alka, go ahead.
If this had been a drama, one could be expected to act, be fearful, or cry. But this is a straightforward game of existence.
Yeah, go ahead.
No help will be offered. That is the basic rule.
Yeah.
So be convinced that we have to keep divine intervention out of our minds.
Like, Alka, you are, what do you call, you're Mr. Gold and you're all that. So why don't you read this again and tell me what's missing in this?
What's missing in this?
Above all, start from above all.
Above all. Above all, let us not forget divine fragments have accepted all the rules of the game of existence. And in a game, there can be no room for fear or prayers or crying.
Right, right. Now, what can there be room for?
Only observation. Only observation.
You're a distinct student of Mr. Gold.
Sir,
Yeah. What can there be room for? See, there can be no room for fear or prayers or crying. But he has not mentioned one thing over here because he doesn't want to mention it. What can there be room for? In all the Western movies, what happens when they're playing cards? All the wonderful Westerns, they're playing cards. What happens? And somebody takes out the gun and says, what does he say? I think you have been cheating. Huh? I think you have been
Cheating.
cheating.
right. The fellow takes out his gun. We have, what's his name? All these Western movies, yeah, those spaghetti Westerns, Clint Eastwood and what was his
Charles
name?
Bronson.
No, that Trinity guy, what was his name?
Not Steve McQueen.
No.
Godfather.
No.
The Trinity guy.
The was in Good, Bad, and Evil.
Bud Spencer and Terence Hill, the Trinity guy. That fellow takes out his gun. I think you have been cheating. And he says, is that so? He gives a Zen answer. Is that so? So Mr. Tavaria says that above all, let us not forget the divine fragments have accepted all the rules of the game of existence. And in a game, there can be no room for fear or prayers or crying, but there can be room for cheating. You can have a cunning approach to the game. You can have a cunning approach to the game, and this Gurdjieff calls the sly way. He calls it the sly way. I mean, that is the basic in Gurdjieff, that my way is the sly way. My way is the sly way. Right. So that if you can awaken, and that is what we say in the Gayatri Mantra, please awaken my intelligence. Please awaken that intelligence where I can go through this game in a sly way. I can go through this game in a sly way.
Right. But the slyness also needs some intelligence.
Yeah. So we cannot, what do you call, pray for, but we can pray for intelligence. We can.
Yeah.
So if the intelligence awaken.
Dio, yo.
Yaha naha dhiyo bacho prachodaya.
I was listening to your lecture on spirituality for money for spiritual seekers, and in that you had spoken about how in every situations when you do an active force and there'll be some obstacles, and then you have to wait for the third force, right? So, and that I think is very, very similar. I was thinking it's very difficult to observe it like that, but then I, for a second, thought, and I thought it is same thing as three-arrowed attention, right? You have one arrow of attention on the doer, which is the active part, one arrow of attention on the passive, which is the obstacles around you, and the third arrow is on the third force, like the neutralizing. So that's the simplest way of then.
Okay, now you have explained this beautifully, right? Now, what is the sly way in this? Again, just repeat it, one arrow of attention
On the doer, on doing what is there to be done in the present moment, the
one arrow
active part,
and one
uh,
arrow of attention.
the passive part, the obstacles around you,
Right.
and straying clear of them. And the
One,
third is the narrow on the neutralizing force, that there is a third person watcher, the
there's one
force
arrow
that's
which is looking at both of these. That is the neutral force,
yes,
right?
yeah.
Okay. What is the sly way over here? What is the sly way over here? Come on,
So the
let's
sly way is not getting flustered by the passive force. Sorry, your voice is gone, Rajan.
Your voice is lagging, Rajen. Then.
Acha, I'm giving you a chance to cheat in the game. Okay.
Very bad at cheating. Very, very bad at cheating.
You see, instead of dividing attention here, dividing attention there, supposing you just ask a question to yourself, who is this who is dividing the attention? Then is that the third force?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You get it?
Yes.
Right? So you'll divide on object and you'll divide on subject and you'll divide on something. But just at that point, instead of doing all that drama, right? You just
Yes.
ask a small question, who is this who's dividing the attention? And that's the end of the, you reached, you know?
Okay.
Huh? Okay, right, let's go ahead. Yeah.
If this had been a drama, one could be expected to act, be fearful, or cry. But this is a straightforward game of existence.
Hmm.
This is what we spoke about, a straightforward game of existence, which is the third force, right?
Yeah.
No help will be offered. That's the basic rule.
Hmm.
So be convinced that we have to keep divine intervention out of our minds.
Right.
Let us not go for moth eaten definitions of God, and let us not invoke infinite mercy from an all merciful God.
Yeah, but now just say we cannot invoke infinite mercy or a merciful God. What can we invoke? What can,
Presence.
come on, you should know. You're the master in this.
Our own presence.
Presence. And is that presence not God?
It is.
Yeah.
Right? So we cannot pray for God to intervene, but we can invoke our own presence. And suddenly the third force is there because presence is the third force. Right.
All these are childish ideas. Know for certain that no wrong or sin have been committed in stepping down from creation into existence.
Yeah. So even though we were stuck in existence at 3 to 1 and we committed all kinds of wrongdoings to reach down to Nadir at 1, right? It is not a sin. We have done nothing wrong. We just needed to step down, right? And it is very difficult to digest this. Very, very difficult to digest this. Right? Okay. Go ahead.
Nor have we been thrown out of creation. For we, as divine fragments, have not the least part to sin in this game.
Right. So what they say, because you ate the, what do you call,
Fruit of knowledge.
Fruit of the tree of the knowledge, the apple. You ate the apple, you were thrown out, right? It is not because of that. But the problem is that he ate the fruit of the tree of knowledge, right? And in that knowledge, suddenly it came to him that I myself can become God. Only I have to go down through this whole process of involution and evolution. So why not do it? Right? And so that knowledge came to him because he ate and he was thrown out because of that. Because he had the knowledge that he can rise up to become a God. His presence, that is why. He was not thrown out, but he was
They
out.
have accepted the rules of the
He
game of
accepted the
existence.
rules. Yeah.
So the sinner is a part of the game.
Yeah, I mean, somebody was stuck at 3-2-1, and you have to create all these what you call sinful acts to throw him down to 1. Right?
Yeah.
So now if a person is not on the path of redemption, because that is left to him personally.
In Christianity, they consider it as a sin. That is why Tavaria wrote it here.
Yeah, but the Bibles have been written from the original Bibles were in Greek. The 4 Bibles were what do you call? They were in Greek, and in Greek the meaning of sin is not to do something wrong. The meaning of sin in Greek is to miss the mark. Chut. Yeah, what do we call? We call Krishna as Achyut. But what we say, Je Chut thai gyo, the one who slipped. The one who has slipped. He has slipped. I mean, mud came on his way and he slipped. He's not committed a sin in that sense. So the deeper meaning of the word sin is to slip. You miss your mark. You were jumping over the river, but before that, a mud came and you slipped and fell into the river. Right? So the the deeper meaning of the word sin is not really what they take.
As mere witness, fulfilling the rules of the game, we have only to see the redeeming factors are fulfilled.
The redeeming factors are fulfilled.
Says Sage Patanjali in Book 1, verse 24, 25, 26. This Ishvara is the self, the divine fragment, untouched by limitations, free from karma and desire. In Ishwar, the Gurudev, the germ of all knowledge, expands into infinity. Ishwar, the Gurudev being unlimited by time conditions, is the teacher of the primeval lords. It's the transcendental teacher.
So this is taken from Patanjali just to tell us about the, what do you call it, redeeming. Actually, we are going to come to these sutras in the Shibir, I think. Klesh Karma Vipak Ashaya Apara Mushta Purusha Vishesha Ishwar. That is the first word. Right. In Ishwar.
First one is Ishvara Pranidhanatva.
Not that, this one, this Ishwar, the self, untouched by limitations, 24.
Yes.
That is Klesh Karma Vipak.
Klesh Karma Vipak
Ashaya.
Vipak Ashay
Purush Vishesha Ishwar. Tatra Niratishayam Sarvagna Bijam. He expands into infinity. Right.
In Light of the Path by MC, we read, For within you is the light of the world, the only light that can be shed upon the path.
This was Mr. Tavaria's favorite book, Light on the Path by Mabel Collins. And he didn't even call her Mabel Collins, he used to always call her Mary Collins. And she's written this beautiful book, Light on the Path. Beautiful book. For within you is the light of the world, and the only light that can be shed upon the path. You see, if we take science also, in the end, everything can be what you call result into light, right? And if you find the light within you, then everything is within you because that light is within you.
Yeah.
Because everything not resolve can be resolved into light, right? So energy can be resolved into light, and energy can be resolved into matter. And if you find the light within you, then you are the source of both energy and matter, right? So
If you are unable to perceive it within you, it is useless to look for it elsewhere. In places, in persons, in prayers, in scriptures and shastras.
yeah. So don't look for light everywhere. Only look for something to tell you how to look for the light within. Huh?
Further, she writes, and though thou fightest, but be not thou.
Be
The
not.
yeah.
Warrior. Be not thou the warrior.
The personality, the mind, and the body. The warrior.
Look for the warrior.
Look for the warrior, the divine fragment, and let him fight in thee.
Hmm.
But if thou not look for him, if thou pass him by when the battle rages, then there is no safeguard for thee.
There is no safeguard. Right? But if I look only for the personality, the mind, and the body, there is no safeguard for me. And if I pass him on the battlefield, that means passing him on the battlefield. Right? So if I'm stuck in my, then I'm stuck in personality, mind, and body. And in the divine fragment, his divine fragment and my divine fragment, both are the same. There's no difference between my divine. Huh?
No, we are good.
Can you hear? Can you hear?
Yes, we can hear you.
Because we are on battery here. Okay. Right. So we keep on bypassing the divine fragment to feed the ego. Right. And we don't realize that the divine fragment, right? You'll judge a person that you're very wicked and you're very bad and you're very negative. But then the divine fragment will say, I needed that negativity to reach Nadir. Why are you telling him anything? So, but then we'll say, I am good and you are bad. And that is, we will bypass the divine fragment as the battle rages on. Yeah. Right.
As the divine fragment makes its first efforts to return home on the upward arc after Nadir, simultaneously fulfilling the conditions of redeeming, the conditionings and inherent constituents of the body, mind, and senses on ascending substages 1, 2, and 3. And up to, should I, what? Is someone saying? I'll give that again. As the divine fragment makes its first efforts to return home on the upward arc after Nadir, simultaneously fulfilling the conditions of redeeming, the conditionings and the inherent constituents of the body, mind, and senses on ascending substages 1, 2, 3, and up to very early 4 in Bhu are so poor, so totally tamasic and ignorant that no progress is possible.
Can you understand this sentence? I don't know what he's talking about.
So what he's saying is that as the divine fragment, it starts making its efforts to return home, right? While fulfilling the conditions of redeeming. So it started doing that.
Simultaneously redeeming.
Yes. But he's saying that around us, especially in 1, 2, 3 and early 4, the conditionings and constituents of body, mind, and senses are totally tamasic and ignorant, and no progress is possible.
Because nature has to make tamasic to reach the Nadi.
Right.
And then the nature will help us to reach up to the floor.
The inherent constituents of
conditionings around.
Right. Okay.
Make it difficult to make any progress.
That no progress is possible. No progress is. So that is what we are in today. That is the stage we are in today. And basically, what we say is that we are lazy people. We don't want to work, right? So, right.
That is the term signature of the body, mind, and senses.
Yeah.
A stage we find ourselves in today. But by progress, we mean the ability of body, mind, thinking instrument, and senses to respond to the guidance and or promptings of the divine fragment.
Yeah, we
By-
doesn't because those thoughts go above that area and they cannot listen to the whispers which are coming from the divine fragment, right?
So progress is countering that and being able to respond to the guidance and promptings by the divine fragment within. Whatever is apparent as progress in these early substages of Bhu is due only to the vibrations rising constantly at a rapid rate.
Right. The exact rate at which they were lowered.
By existence.
At the exact rate at which they were lowered, as part of the bargain by existence to redeem what it damaged by way of lowering the vibrations.
So the only way is redeeming our thoughts, feelings, and what you call actions. No? Only way is redeeming the thoughts, feelings, and actions. And in redeeming that, the vibrations are raised. And in that redemption is done. Right. The damage is offset. The damage is offset. Yeah.
We must therefore expect resistance from the limitations of the substance of which the body, thinking instrument, and senses are generated.
Mm-hmm.
We must therefore expect resistance from the limitations of the substance of which the body, thinking instrument and senses are generated.
Substance means the universal mind stuff he's talking about.
The material of the body or the limitations of the senses.
So it's very gross right now in the lower stages of Bhu.
What does he mean by substance? Substance has to be universal mind. No?
Yeah, but universal mind is also in various grades. From very subtle in Swaha to very gross and crude in Bhu.
The body brains, the substance out of which body brain system is created.
Yeah.
Material.
So there will be resistance from the body, brain, and senses.
Right. Let's go ahead. Yeah.
Wrong and animal-like ways of life in substages 3 to 1 on the downward arc have left
patterns.
Yes.
The patterns are the limitations. The patterns are the limitations because on the downward arc have left indelible patterns. And those patterns have momentum. And so we want to rise, but the momentum of the patterns will keep pulling us down. And unless we can, redeem those patterns, they won't allow us to escape, right? They won't allow, they'll keep pulling us down.
wrong and animal-like ways of life in substages 3 to 1 on the downward arc have left indelible memory patterns. In substages 1, 2, and 3, and very early 4 on the upward arc. All that could happen was but the repetition of these very many animal-like memory patterns.
So on 3 to 1 and 1 to 3, we kept on repeating these animal patterns, right? And these animal patterns have gathered momentum. And we now suddenly we see that we are self-conscious people, right? And now we want to make this journey towards self. But these patterns will keep on pulling us down. Keep on pulling us down.
There's a question from Sharmila. Are the patterns the substance then?
Huh?
Are the patterns the substance?
We have to at present take the patterns as substance. if something else comes up. But at present, the patterns must be made of some substance, some memory substance, some mind stuff. And it is that which is pulling us down. It is the gravity of the patterns which
And it is the memory pattern out of which new body is created.
new body. So the body-brain system itself, each says, is generated from the patterns. The body, which is the first sentence, which is generated.
Yes.
That is from the patterns. That is, my patterns will decide in my next life what kind of body-brain system I have. Right. So if I have redeemed those patterns, then it will change the body-brain system. It will make it more conducive to what you call
Or more
rising up. Rising up, right? I hope you got it, Sharmila.
Thank you, Pranam Gurudev. Thanks. Yes, I did. So just a question based on that. And so we can change, if we change patterns, then we can change genetic makeup. And so therefore we could change the way our body, brain, and physical structure would look completely.
Yes.
Is that possible?
Yes. Yes. Now here, when we talk about, we have to think of two things. The patterns.
Sorry, Sharma, there's background noise at your place. Yeah.
So when we think of patterns, creating the genetic makeup, and then that genetic makeup has to pass through the genes of the mother and father. So patterns, the generation of the body-brain system, what you call the blueprint from the patterns, and that blueprint then passing through the genes of the mother and father. So right? So we'll have to think in 3 stages. So there will be an effect of the genes of the mother and father on the patterns and on the body-brain system.
The brain, being small and undeveloped yet, could do nothing else but satisfy its immediate appetites.
Yeah, the animal world. Yeah, the animal world.
Beyond that, it was incapable of anything else. All that the divine fragment can do is to prompt and guide, but it may be to no avail for some time to come.
Yeah, because we can't hear it. We can't hear it. The noise is too loud, right? And we can't hear it. Did we do that in English where the thoughts go, or did we do that in Gujarati? We did that in Gujarati. Okay.
What was the word? The Mrudu silent whispers?
Silent whispers.
Silent whispers.
The silent whispers.
Mrudu आवाज है.
Silent whispers of the divine friend. The divine center, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
The old tamasic memory patterns, the absolute inertia of body and brain, are not easy to overcome. Even if body and brain are convinced, it would be a near impossible task to break this inertia.
Right. So even if body and brain are convinced, right, it would be an impossible task to break this inertia. And we can see this, that, I decide by body and brain, I tell it, I convince it today, this guy is coming to meet me, I'm definitely not going to get angry on him. And on that day, then something happens and I say, this time I have to get angry, tomorrow I'll tell the body. Right? So it becomes an impossible task to break the gravitational pull of the patterns. Right.
And even if this inertia is broken, very soon the body and brain will once again lapse into old habits.
Right. Now, we may consciously break the inertia, but the patterns which are in the brain, the pathways which are in the brain have been there for thousands of years.
From
right?
6 eternities.
Yeah. So, how are we going to change those pathways? So there must be a constant effort to change those pathways. Constant effort to change those pathways. Right.
The last 6 eternities are responsible for such a state of body and brain.
Right.
And this 6 is 3 to 1 on the downside and 1 to 3 on the upward side.
6 eternities.
Right.
Yeah, 6 eternities.
The individual, however sincere, finds it heartbreaking time and again to find that the old ways are ruling his or her life.
You have to break the pull of gravity. You have to go, how many gravity? 17 miles or 19 miles from the Earth?
Oh, the escape velocity.
Out of gravity after 19 miles or?
Maybe a little more.
No, 19 miles.
19 miles.
Once you're out of 19 miles, then you escape gravity. Then you're in electromagnetism. Right. Hmm.
Time and again, earnest resolutions will fail. This is normal. It is to be expected.
The spaceship will keep falling back in the sea. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it escapes gravity, then there's no problem.
There is no use of feeling dejected, no use of giving up the struggle or developing a guilt complex.
Just keep on trying. Keep on trying.
Besides, the mind and brain are bogged down in ancient superstition, ancient religious rites and ceremonies, philosophy and theology.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we are so attached to our religions, so attached to philosophy and theology and what somebody else has written, then then that again becomes another source of gravity and keeps pulling us down. Right.
Even logic and reason are colored,
Hmm.
and so the odds are indeed great.
Yeah, logic and reasoning, they have their own limitations, and we have to learn to drop logic and reasoning. Right.
We love our slavery and our miseries.
Yeah, we love to be slaves to logic. And a person who's very good at logic and reasoning, I mean, he's a great, what do you call, we have a very good regard for him.
We have our frailties, and we like to remain in this condition. If we are more honest, all this will be so apparent.
Mm.
Are you prepared to let all these go? Are you prepared to let go in the first place?
We'll have to think of some way of holding on to everything and still rising up. Right.
Shall we stop here?
Yeah, we can stop here. We can stop here. Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. Right.
Thank you so much, Rajan sir. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your evening. Bye.